I'm Maureen Marshall. I grew up in Kamloops. I attended Kamloops High School where I worked with Tom Kerr. I actually acted in my first time acting in ninth grade with Tom Kerr. In high school, we just did so much. We ended up going to Vancouver one year and winning just about every award in the provincial high school, festival play. And in that group of kids, a number of us went on to work in some fashion in theater. I went to university in 1969, and then I went to Europe after college and after working for a year, and I was just traveling around, and I was working in London, and Keith Dinnicle called me and said, Mo, could you come up to the Edinburgh Festival because I can't come and be the stage manager. So I went up and stage managed this production of Arturo Ui, and it was really good in a church hall. I remember the police coming because we had some guns, and somebody, prop guns or something, and somebody saw that. And then I came back to Kamloops, and he was teaching the high school drama classes, 10, 11, and 12. So they agreed that I could be the assistant in that teaching program. That was sort of, to me, the year that it just really started happening. We did a high school, sort of a community musical. We did Snow White. Again, ask Ray about, he looked after all the dwarfs.
I was in charge of the dwarfs?
We had two sets of dwarfs, and they were these little boys who were in grade one or
sevens.
two. He would sort of assemble them all, and dwarfs, come on. We were quite impressed. And I can't remember if it was that spring. I had a portable typewriter. Tom called me one night and said, could you come over? Ken was there, and Ray, and there was somebody else, and he said, we're putting a grant proposal together. We need you to type it up. So when I got there, there wasn't anything ready to be typed up. We had to sit down and figure out the numbers and, the budget. And it was pretty basic then. It was for Canada Council. I forget what we got, but it was kind of like, okay, they believe us now that we're not just some sort of backwash little group that runs around doing things. That kind of got it going. And I ended up liking teaching, and so I decided I'd go back to school and get my credential. I was teaching at that point, Sahalee was Sahalee Junior High School. I had a drama room, which was a great place for rehearsals for the Western Canada Theatre Company. And it was always a surprise when I would talk to people in Vancouver, and they used to say, Kamloops, it's about logging and cattle ranching, and how is it that they have such a strong interest in music and, in theater? And we had good people here that were supporting it. This whole school district had a belief that you had a qualified theater person. You didn't have somebody who was teaching math or science and say, oh, by the way, you're teaching drama as well. Just like you wouldn't say to somebody, by the way, you're teaching instrument band. The first year I taught, Tom was still here. They were doing the usual late fall musical, Anne of Green Gables, we did. And so they needed a bunch of kids. We used some of my junior high drama students, much to the delight of my principal, because he said, this is so great. You're not ruining classes, have kids running around for 3 months, getting a show together. We would sort of pull them out at different times, and that worked really well. There used to be a little section of like a little dormitory near the high school. Kids came from Ashcroft and a few other places, and they boarded. At some point, the boarding was discontinued, and so like Tom, Marion Owens was the music lady, and so they got to have offices in there. And the offices were what had been bedrooms, like these little rooms, and then there was a common area kind of at the end, so that became the Western Canada Theatre Company hangout area. Terry and Lanni and I and whoever else we were on the board. And then the next year when Tom left, the three of us took on that mantle. And that was just the greatest experience ever. We just had such a good time. I am Maureen Marshall, and my Western Canada Theatre is one of the most fabulous, passionate memories I will ever have, the best experience of my life.